Man, what's up with Tim Burton and Johnny Depp?
Well, what's up with them? What'd they do this time? Did they get caught like fucking on tape or something? What happened?
Might as well. I think they got married, man. They can't do anything without each other. I mean,
you know what? That definitely seems to be the case. I'm like, wow, when is this team up, this ultimate bromance gonna end? You know? It's like, I was like, wow, I guess they have to have a real stinker of a film on their hands before they go, you know what? This shit ain't working out no more.
You know what? I want a divorce.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. When they're not making movies, do they hold hands in the park and? You know, I mean, do they snuggle and watch movies together? I mean, when are we going to get some story from TMZ about how some guy went up to their trailer and caught them in bed together?
I mean, right?
Damn, because they do. How many movies have they made together so far now?
Wasn't the first one Edward Scissorhands?
I think that was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one.
That's when they fell in love.
Yeah, exactly. Because you knew during all the interviews, that's all Tim Burton could talk about. Is like, when I see Johnny play this character is me. So it's like now I have a little bit of Johnny Depp is inside me. And I think that's where the love spawned. Right there.
Literally, maybe. I don't know what's going on with them, but
hey, you know what? To their credit, there's times when it works, you know?
Most of the time when they make movies together, it works. Look, all Tim Burton has to do is take Johnny Depp and slap some white paint on him, and usually that equals a success. I'm still waiting on that movie where Johnny Depp plays a mime or a geisha girl. Or something,
exactly. You know? I'm surprised. Johnny Depp didn't get the role as the Joker. I mean, it's like it would have made plenty of sense, you know. But yeah, you know, and I'm waiting for Johnny Depp to go. Look, man, I'm white enough. All right, you can't get any whiter than me. All right.
Yeah.
You know? When people scream "hot-looking white boy," they're usually talking about me.
I know. Damn. I'm beginning to think Johnny Depp is an albino or something. I'm beginning to believe that Johnny Depp, he actually puts like skin tone makeup on. He's really white.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. When is Tim Burton gonna make that movie where Johnny Depp plays a powdered donut? I think that they've made 7 movies together so far.
Holy shit. Yeah, that would make sense.
Not including this one. I'm not sure. But either way it goes, we're saying that every movie that they collaborate on has been a success. Well, almost every movie that they've collaborated on has been at least some kind of financial success. So what about this film?
This is one of those films where you look at the subject matter, and it's obviously based off of the soap opera called Dark Shadows, and you think, you know, just the subject matter of what, you know, Dark Shadows is about. You're like, okay, this is something that is right up Tim Burton's
right up his ass,
right up his ass, along with Johnny Depp. It starts off really fucking good, and then like the rest of Tim Burton's movies, sometimes it just completely loses its focus. And it becomes so just jarring. You get different plot elements coming in out of nowhere, and it just doesn't work with this film, which is unfortunate, you know?
Now, I'll admit, this series was out before I was born, so I don't know shit about how the story went in the original series, but I'll try to piece together what little I know about this movie. And that is that Johnny Depp is Barnabas Collins, a guy who is kind of a player who messes with the wrong chick one day, a witch named Angelique Bouchard, played by Eva Green. And she curses him to be a vampire and tells the people, hey, this dude is evil and we need to bury his ass alive. And they do. And he lays there for centuries until later he's dug up accidentally by a construction crew. And he finds himself in the funky 1970s. And it's here that he goes back to his manor only to find it taken over by his crazy ass descendants. And it's here that the comedy kicks in because, of course, Barnabas can't figure out TVs and cars and bell bottoms and afros and afro picks and all kind of stuff. A lot of people have a lot to owe to this show. Tim Burton has a lot to owe to this show. Let's just think about it. Hot topic. Wouldn't have it without Dark Shadows. The Cure. Wouldn't have it without Dark Shadows. Probably wouldn't have The Crow without Dark Shadows.
Bela Lugosi. You wouldn't have been born if this show wasn't.
Yeah, man. All that goth stuff that you kids love out there, you wouldn't have it without without dark shadows.
The color black, it would not be around.
Black crayons would not exist.
Shadows would not be around.
Dark or shadows would not exist without dark shadows. But no, so this show is a very inspirational show. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you have this show, and you have all these people who say they love the central character, which is Barnabas Collins, who played a vampire in the show, played by Jonathan Frid. Now, everybody's talking about how this was such an influence on them, but of course,
even Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp said that when this show was on, like, he was a big fan of it, and Barnabas Collins, like, when he was a kid, he was so fascinated by that character that he wanted to be him.
And lo and behold, he is him. So what I'm thinking about is that the show, that when it was on, it wasn't a parody. It wasn't a spoof. It was a serious, dark show. It was a very gothic show. And so looking at all the influences that it has, looking at all the people who are fans of it, you're thinking to yourself, man, this would be perfect for Tim Burton. And then everybody heard Tim Burton was directing it, and everybody said, of course he is. That makes sense. And then the trailer comes out.
Oh boy.
And everybody's looking at the beginning of the trailer, and the trailer starts out with it being very dark, very gothic. And then all of a sudden it turns into Barnabas Collins waking up in 1971. And lo and behold, it's some Addams Family fish out of water type movie going on. And all of the gothic people are saying, God damn you, Tim Burton, you betrayed us. You were one of us. How could you do this?
Exactly. They're like, hey, this is no laughing matter.
They're showing up
some
with
real shit.
pitchforks and torches at his castle right now. Come out, Burton. Come out.
There he is. There he is over there. Oh no, that's Robert Smith from The Cure. I'm sorry. Sorry, Robert. Just burned his ass.
Sorry. He wasn't making
on fire.
Yeah, he hadn't made an album in a long time anyways.
They should record that one because it sounded great. His vocals were awesome.
But you know something, man? Okay, so you saw the movie. I have to admit to people, I did not. So you're telling me it's just what I thought. I like to be fair and say, listen, maybe this will be funny enough to where I'm not a goth. Maybe I'll appreciate that they made this a big fish out of water comedy and some sort of spoof. So you're telling me that, nah, it doesn't work on that level.
There's a lot of shit going on in this movie, and that is the problem with it. And I don't know, I'm not familiar at all with the TV series, but it seemed like they tried to take every element of that long-ass running TV show and make it into a movie. So the movie at times loses its focus a lot, you know?
That's what I know. That's what somebody said about this. I was talking to somebody else who had seen this, and they say the problem here is that you take a series that ran for, I believe, 5 years. So you have all these episodes, and then you give it to a director whose movies aren't very focused anyway.
Right.
And so when you know, that's a bad combination, trying to stuff 5 years of a show.
Storytelling, yeah.
Into a guy. It's like giving some guy a perfectly put together puzzle, and then he drops it and then puts it back together, even where the pieces don't fit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because, you know, the thing is, when you start to when the puzzle is being put together, you're thinking, wow, this actually could be a good movie, you know, because when I walked in, I wasn't really looking forward to this. I'm just like, and it was kind of sad because I'm like, wow, I remember when the days I used to look forward to seeing a Tim Burton, Johnny Depp movie. There was a time when I looked forward to seeing Johnny Depp's performance. And unfortunately with this, you know, Johnny Depp was the only one who really like stuck to his guns with this. Cause I mean, his Barnabas character is completely fascinating. And you could tell the guy's having so much fun playing this character that you're laughing along right with him, even though he looks like, you know, Liberace and Nosferatu, you know, fucked and they had a baby. You know, I kept on, every time he was on screen, you know, he had his costume jewelry on, and he had just like this pouty looking face all the time. And I was like, oh, if my brother George could see me now.
I know. See, that's the thing about Johnny Depp. I'm making fun of him at the beginning of this review, but he will pour himself into a role. And I'll look at this and I said, if nothing else, Johnny Depp at least looks like this is another role that is such an exaggerated character that he will love it, because Johnny Depp does great with that. There's been a couple where he's creeped me out. That Willy Wonka was a little bit too Michael Jackson for me.
Oh yeah, that was too fucking creepy. Yeah,
but you have Jack Sparrow, and now you got this dead pimp right here, Barnabas Collins. Man. Yeah, I mean, this looks like it's right for him. It just looks like the format itself is just, you kind of taking something that we're seeing a lot of today, which is taking that character and putting them out of their element and having the humor come out of that interaction. And we've seen a lot of movies like that today. And I mean, we just saw 21 Jump Street, which Johnny Depp actually has an appearance in. You know, another potentially cool thing about this movie, at least what looked cool to me, is this cast they have here, this ensemble cast. You mentioned that they have Michelle Pfeiffer as the matriarch of the Collins family. Got Chloe Moretz as a little bitch daughter, I guess. I don't know. Helena Bonham Carter, who is Tim Burton's fake wife.
Another actor who has their dick all up in Tim Burton's ass. Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, his fake wife is up in here. Yeah. His beard. Yeah. And she plays a psychiatrist that lives with the family.
Yeah, she plays the living psychiatrist. Yeah.
Who I love Helena Bonham Carter, man. Now, you're talking about Johnny Depp is giving his great performance. What about all of the other cast members? Is anybody else who's breaking out here?
And you know what? Helen Bonham Carter, she actually does a good job playing the Dr. Julia Hoffman. But you know, as far as everyone else, that was the one thing that I was really shocked by, was this great cast that they had that they really underused. You know, especially Chloe Moretz, where she actually plays like the jailbait daughter. You know, who's definitely rebellious. She's almost like I was like, part of me was like, is she supposed to be like the Paris Hilton of this, of this prestigious family? It's the one girl who is eventually going to end up making a sex tape,
Yeah.
And it's actually hilarious.
Are you talking about the actress, or are you talking about the character?
Both, yeah. Yeah. Where I'm like, wow, they really play her up as jailbait in this movie, to where there are some scenes where she's dancing and she's like looking at the camera like, fuck me now, where I was like, okay, this is kind of unsettling. I know she's only 15 years old, but wow, you guys are really making her like a 15-year-old Paris Hilton.
When did they start allowing women of the night on estate grounds? Forgive me. My name is Barnabas Collins.
Children! Get away from that man.
He says his name is Barnabas Collins.
And I'm pretty sure he called me a hooker.
That'll do, Carolyn.
It was really creepy on some level, but
that's where the real horror was, right there.
Yeah, it really was, because you just felt uncomfortable watching it. You're like, I was fucking looking at Leon. I'm like, I'm just gonna look at you for a little while. You let me know when this scene is over, okay? Yeah. You're right. That was the scariest moment.
You know when the scene is over? Yeah. I'll tell you when they're putting Leon in handcuffs and taking him away.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, can I look now?
I know, right? Insert Leon pedophile joke now.
Yeah.
Man. But I mean, wow. But you know, the thing is that something happens to her character. I won't spoil it, but it is so underwhelming, where when it happens, you can't help but scratch your head and go, okay, why did they just pull that out of their ass? Like, that could have been such an interesting character to explore, and, even with Jackie Earle Haley, where you're like, okay, wow, that dude is in a goddamn, Tim Burton movie. I mean, I'm sure they're going to utilize him because he looks like the human dog boy, but, you realize that, all he is really is just background. He's a character that just hangs out. He plays the Manor's caretaker, and all he really does is like mumble his way through the movie, and they don't give him anything interesting to do.
Yeah.
That's how it is with a lot of this cast, even Michelle Pfeiffer, where it just seems like, okay, maybe she's going to have something like important to do with this whole, story. Not really,
Wow, man. That sounds like such a Tim Burton film that I don't like that you're describing, man.
It really is.
A lot of potential that just screams, this is perfect for Tim Burton. And then when he gets it, a lot of underused everything, underused elements, underused themes, underused characters, and almost all the time, a script that's just everywhere.
Yeah. Oh no, and it is. Believe me, the only really character development you get from anyone in this cast is Alice Cooper, who plays himself, because it's like, all right, just watching him, he performs during a ball scene, and it seems like, wow, I got more out of his performance than I did of any of the cast in this movie, because when you leave this film, you are really scratching your head wondering, like, okay, that movie felt really empty. It really felt like the only two key players in this movie was Johnny Depp and Eva Green, as far as like they were the ones who were really having the most fun. They were the only ones who really had anything to do in this movie, even though the film at times, takes you off the beaten path, to explore what you think you're going to explore, a certain characters, and they don't. They just completely drop the ball. They give you a hint about what the characters are about, and then they just leave it alone, which I thought, this movie honestly should have been, they really should have played the whole idea of Barnabas interacting with his family. Tim Burton should have looked back at his older film, Edward Scissorhands, and really analyzed why that film works. It was because Edward Scissorhands, interaction with that family, which was pretty interesting, and just that whole town. But towards the end of this movie, I mean, the movie comes to a screeching halt once it does have that, Edward Scissorhands type of ending. And people who see the movie will know what I'm talking about, where it's just, something tragic happens, and it's like the whole town gathers at the mansion, and then they disperse like nothing happens, and you're like, okay, what was that all about? It's like, wow, they really ran out of ideas to end this movie because it ends so abruptly.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that this would have been better had they played it straight?
You know what? Probably not. No, because if you try to rewatch that Dark Shadows, I tried watching an episode of it, and it was very slow, and some of it was very cheesy, and even with some of the dialogue, it's kind of laughable now. So them trying to play this, especially when you have like, Johnny Depp and this ensemble cast, you don't want to see them play it straight, because like I said, at the beginning of the movie, it was working. It just, as soon as they got into the story, it's like they just ran out of shit to do. They ran out of things to make this family really interesting, because all the pieces were set in place. It's just they forgot how to play the game all of a sudden.
Yeah, no,
and it was too bad.
Yeah, it might have worked. I guess that kind of drama might have worked, because it's almost I've seen a little bit of the series too, and I understand why people like it and why it's a big cult hit, but it's very melodramatic, and so that's why I was thinking to myself too, I have to give this movie a chance, because that kind of melodrama brought into what we have today, it's that people will get mad at me, but that source material is almost prime for parody, for making fun of. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it is.
For that.
It really is.
It's just too bad that it couldn't be tighter, and so therefore it couldn't have been more clever as a parody itself. This particular movie that we have now.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a shame, because they do give you the hint that there is going to be a possible sequel, but like I said, it's almost such a self-contained story that if they were thinking about doing a sequel, I'm like, they did it in the worst way possible.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What did the movie at least look good? Tim Burton at least makes things look good.
Yes, that's the one thing Tim Burton can do. I mean, this movie looked beautiful. I wish I could remember who was the cinematographer on this. But yeah, just the shots of the manor, like they got all the shadows and fog stuff down to a T. And shockingly enough, too, I think a lot of this was filmed on over at Pinewood Studios.
I think the whole thing was shot pretty much on Pinewood Studios over there in England.
Yeah, and they spared no expense, especially just the mansion has so much character. It is its own character in the movie. But yeah, just the cinematography was amazing. And it really does set the mood, watching Johnny Depp like lurk around as Barnabas. It was really fun, because believe me, like I said, I was halfway, like about the first 15, 20 minutes of this movie, I was really like going, wow, this is probably going to be a really good Tim Burton Johnny Depp movie, and this is the perfect subject matter, because Tim Burton does know how to, work his magic with subject matter like this. But like I said, as soon as they dive into the real story, it starts to come apart at the seams, and it really does come apart.
Yeah. All right. So what would you give it, man?
And that's one of the things, I'm probably going to have to give the movie a rental, even though I would give Johnny Depp's performance a matinee, because like he really is good.
Can you do that? Can you rank
if
performances on a separate scale? Can you do that? That's crazy.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be the first.
You're a groundbreaker. You're a trendsetter.
I got to raise that bar somewhere. I don't know where to put it, but I got to do it.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, but as a film overall, I mean, it is kind of a rental because, I mean, oh man, it's so many wasted opportunities, and especially when you're sitting there just wanting to see a good movie, you know, a good Tim Burton movie. I mean, he goes back to slumming it, like with some of his other movies where I'm like, man, dude, you start off so good, you get me so invested. And then it's like you forget what the story is. You forget the character motivations. You just forget the how to end the story, you know?
Yeah, no.
And it sucks, you know, because it's happened more than once, and I hate it. You know, I hate it because it's like, oh man, yeah, you're jerking me off really good there, and then, hey, where'd you go? You know, like, what the
Hey, Tim Burton, come back.
Tim Burton, hey, my dick's all white over here.
I'm wearing my Johnny Depp mask over here. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, hey, where you go, man? That's too bad. And you know what? I'm gonna admit, I was a little upset in the beginning when I heard it was set in the 70s, and because in the trailer they're playing Superfly and they're showing you the disco ball and the lava lamp, and I'm thinking, man, this ain't Barnabas Collins' time. This is Blackula's time right here. When we gonna get that Blackula movie? I mean, Blackula's looking over there at Barnabas in the disco, and he's like, damn, this boy done come in here and took all my white women, man.
That would have made a far more interesting movie.
Blackula versus Dark Shadows. I don't know.
Blackula is Dark Shadows.